it's been social media has been agog with the governor, our governor, budget presentation about mistake on 650 billion and the rest of it all. It's a normal thing. Zuma made such mistakes, and a lot of people make such mistakes. I don't know figures. You see, that is how to know original and innocent people. Obaseki will not make such mistakes because he has stolen billions before. Aswa Ighodalo will not make such mistakes because he has stolen billions before. Monday is not a thief, so he's not familiar with figures. So anybody who wants to talk and continue to talk is nonsense. He's the governor of the state, and he's the governor of the state. He's performing, and he's performing, and he'll continue to perform. And anybody who does not like his face should go to hell and burn to ashes. Period. And thank you.
Okay, the first thing that made me just throw my head back and laugh was his stuttering throughout the budget presentation. And then making the comment that is confusing him. First off, this is a budget that has been very detailed, well prepared for the governor to read. And it was just a matter of, Your Excellency, the budget that has been prepared, documented, typed, is in front of you. Read it to the people of Edo State before the State House of Assembly, and let us know what 2025 appropriation is going to look like in Edo State. And the governor messed up. And then, in an attempt to cover incompetence, the APC chairman in Edo State is coming out to say, oh, look, because Okpebholo is not a thief, that is why he does not understand figures. And I ask you, how difficult is it for somebody, a governor who is educated, to read figures that have been well typed out?
Well, I think I'll come from another direction where the conversation about Monday Okpebholo is concerned. First of all, I don't think this is a pep talk on incompetence, because this doesn't measure up for incompetency until we see the policy direction and how Monday Okpebholo decides to run Edo State. Then we can say whether or not he's incompetent. But having a gaffe, first of all, I will fault the editor of the script, because it is obvious that that script, the numbers were not written in words. Why not write whatever millions you wanted to write in words and let the man just read simple English? Because, I mean, Monday Okpebholo read his victory speech. When he was sworn in Edo State, he read a speech. So it means the man can actually put in simple, basic words of English. If we go back to these conversations, Francis, does South Korean president speak in English? The answer is no. French, whatever countries of the world that their leaders don't speak in English, we have a number of them. If Monday Okpebholo cannot communicate in English, let him speak the indigenous language of the Edo people and communicate with his people. Because I think this matter of English is a major problem. First of all, I personally don't see any problem with what happened. I will fault the editor, the last person that saw that document before the governor took it up is the person to be held to blame. Because also on the heel of this, we are hearing things like, the journalist from a particular TV station has been arrested. Ladies and gentlemen, you are playing with the media. Stop it. First of all, it was a live broadcast. And there was no way for the technicians, the journalists there to anticipate what was going to happen. It was live streamed. It was going on there and it happened. You can't go and, make, a journalist a culprit. But I'm saying the last editor, it is words, for God's sake. And the best of people, whether they're thieves or not, can gaffe over these numbers. Why write humongous numbers in just digits when you can write, and I think my basic understanding in English, especially when you have to read it, write it with the numbers and then let it be followed by words. So the gentleman keeps reading, trying to read 950 billion points, 270,000, that's something kobo. Write it in words and the governor can read or write. It's not a matter of English. I don't think before colonialism, before colonization, this would have been a strong argument. And my argument this morning is that we have several world leaders, world powers that do not speak English, and they still communicate even with other world powers.
Well, on the part of the argument of using the language of Edo and communicating to the Edo people, a lot of people would want to toe that line. But yeah, don't forget, we are the ones who decided we want English as the general language, as official language, as the case may be.
The laws were made for men, not the men for laws, so we can excuse it.
Understood. But then, as much as Edo people can be spoken to in the language, you're also going to have to worry about the one language that is understood, if there is such. I mean, look at Akwa Ibom, for instance. There are a part of languages in Akwa Ibom state that you speak to, and the next person doesn't get to understand.
But an average person in Akwa Ibom understands Ibibio.
An average person.
An average person. I'm saying that over 80% of Akwa Ibomites understand Ibibio.
So now that takes us to the concern. Is there such a language in Edo that
is
significant?
On the screen. I'm sure someone can answer that question.
Yeah, so
there will be a general dialect that everybody understands, because just like, and it's same everywhere, because just like whether you like to call yourself Delta Igbo or anything, there is an Igbo language that is spoken, and an average Igbo person understands it. When you don't want to try to do the dialectic recalls in every language, if you go to the north, there are dialects under every northern state, but on an average, people speak Hausa. We don't have to go and speak Fulani as it were to the Fulanis. On an average, everybody in the north understands Hausa, quote and unquote. Do you understand? So yes, I would agree that there is a general language, in Edo State that everybody understands. If the governor can communicate in English, excuse the man and let him get the job done if he knows how to.
Well, whatever that happens, we're left with the time that Okpebholo is going to be in office to see what's going to happen. But I still maintain the stance of most Nigerians this morning, which is that this has thrown up a lot of questions as to the personality of Monday Okpebholo as the governor of Edo State. Yes, we know that leaders, every leader can have one or two flaws, and those flaws would have to be deliberately
so he's deficient in English language becomes a flaw.
No, hold on. If he's deficient in not just this for me is not about the English language. This for me is about figures. And for like most Nigerians, is about figures. Now there are no two ways about it. There's no way you can explain it the way. As a leader, you're going to have to deal with figures. And these figures are how you are going to deal with projects that you execute.
Agreed.
Now, if you do not understand that, the other thing for you to do to ensure that the monies of the people of the state entrusted to you are not stolen by a few people. Let's go by the words of the APC's chairman that I say,
who himself is a joke.
Okay, now you agree.
No, but who himself is a joke. See, when these kinds of things happen, I'm not taking words from your mouth, Francis. When these kinds of things happen, we have professional PR managers who should have the responsibility to mop up the image of Monday Okpebholo as it is. It's not people like the chairman of the APC in Edo State coming to tell us that it's because he's not a thief. That's why he couldn't read the numbers. It's further exacerbating the conversation around the government.
So that is on one end. Now, the people within the governor's office or within the administration, the state excos, who are to man key positions. Let's say he has issues with numbers. Understood. But the people who are supposed to man key positions within his office, the accountant general, the commissioner for trade and investment, the commissioner for information, the deputy governor even. These people should be strategically picked, not criminals who will now use the lapses in his own inabilities to handle or understand this other part to steal from the government, to steal from the Edo people. That can be solved. But then it is going to take a miracle in a country like Nigeria for us to have those group of persons. Like literally, I am yet to come across a politician who doesn't look for the chance or a lapses in the other person's abilities or inabilities to use that to draw or bring down the person. So it is a very big task. If Mondo Pueblo doesn't understand, digits and all of that, no problem. As long as he understands managing people, as long as he understands managing the Edo people, managing the economy, managing people to bring about the result that will better the lives of the people, then it's understood. But then he has a big responsibility of making sure the right people who are not just loyal to the Edo people, but are also loyal to their integrity, loyal to sustaining and maintaining a high level of integrity for themselves and the family, and who are also loyal to him as the governor of Edo State to be able to pull this through.
Well, at the end of the day, I do hope that this is salvaged in the way that is most effective for, Mondo Pueblo's time as governor of Edo State, as it were. Like you have said, and I have also said, let the wingmen be carefully handpicked by the governor or by whoever he trusts. And I think that this is a great responsibility for the deputy governor of Edo State. He would have to perform more than what's that word? Ceremonial functions as the deputy governor of the state. You have to be up and running, vigilant with the words and the activities of the state government if you would have a successful tenure. If you want this to be used as an excuse for your administration to be botted out, that's all of your business. But at the end of the day, I think that Mondo Pueblo can be given room to breathe. I don't think that this is what's his next, what should put his neck on the table. And, we keep arguing about this. First of all, let us all agree. Well, you don't have to agree with my opinion, but I don't think that this is a question of incompetence or mediocrity. As in, where is this by coming out to speak Spanish, but they're speaking Spanish and stealing all your money? It's not by all the grammar now. We have people everywhere. They're speaking grammar and they are
polished
English, polished thieves for that matter. And that thing that what's his name? That Jegede, what funny man in the APC that said he was trying to. He's just, let me tell you, if Mondo Pueblo is going to steal, he's going to steal, whether he understands the numbers or not. That does not explain whether or not, he's
I mean, do criminals even need to understand numbers to steal?
Yeah,
they don't need to. They just know they're stealing money.
Do you understand? So there's so many sides to this that, needs to be handled. And something was in my mind. Remember, take your mind back to 2023, Francis. During the campaign season, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, how many gaffes, for God's sake, did the president do at the time? Remember, sometimes, the word we live with, propaganda is a game in the media that people use to pep up conversations. All the while during campaigns of the APC, blah blue, blah blah, all kinds of things were conversations that followed, Bola Ahmed Tinubu's campaign strongly. And you see the issue with some of this propaganda, it peps up the person's popularity in the space of conversations. How many gaffes has Mr. President done since he became president? You and I have the answer. So let's trust this conversation about Mondo Pueblo. Let's look at his policy directions. Will the man be able to work? That's the question on the table. But still, even talking about Mondo Pueblo, remember, he was a senator representing Edo State in the National Assembly, and deciding to bequeath that particular seat and go and run for governorship in the state. First of all, excuse me once again, he does not know how to speak English. They still voted him to go and represent them at the Senate. That's to look at policies that is supposed to define the Edo people. He was voted there. He won and was there. Now had to bequeath that seat and come and be governor in the state. You better bet that Edo people know what they're doing and trust them with their governor. It's not for the rest of us in the world to be arguing. But then, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, of course, has declared his seat in the National Assembly vacant and has called for INEC to actually conduct fresh elections to get someone into that particular representative seat.
Well, it was long expected. Pueblo has done what needed to be done, and the Senate is doing what needs to be done to have a representation of his people at the National Assembly, precisely the Senate, because it's very critical also. Even as the governor of the state is going to need a representation at the National Assembly to also push the interests of the Edo people up there for the generality of Nigerians to also consider. So the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, has taken the right step to ensure that Monday Okpebholo and the people of Edo State are well represented at the National Assembly. It's now left for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to conduct these elections. I'll still say there was a time I feel very aggrieved as a Nigerian when my constituency didn't have a representative because of the inability of the National Assembly to do what needed to be done. But we do hope that with the directive given by the Senate President Godswill Akpabio, INEC would rise to the responsibility and will have a by-election, for that position to be filled. It's going to be another contest, for Edo State, and we watch and see who they're going to entrust. But to put this conversation to an end, I just hope that Monday Okpebholo will, going forward, be a lot more intentional in the things that he brings to the media. The people who are saddled with the responsibility to handle his speech, his presentation, should know what needs to be done. And like you rightly stated, the speech that he did during the
budget presentation.
No, not budget presentation.
Inaugural speech.
Inaugural speech. We didn't have figures. Perhaps that's why we didn't have this conversation that we are having now. So it's a matter of having the right people in place. And
if
please,
numbers is the governor's Achilles heel, cover it.
have the right people in place, and please release the media professionals who were doing their job. Otherwise, the Nigerian media will be coming out for you.
Yeah,
so
that becomes a fresh fight and a fresh issue. That particular journalist that have been arrested in the name of whatever that thing is, that should be addressed. And I do hope that the NUJ is on this immediately before this escalates, or else this support that we are talking now just turns into some